Okay, ready?
3,
2,
1.
Welcome
to Ruse on Record.
Welcome back, fam. This week on Ruse on Record, we're going to dive into a more serious topic that affects every single one of us, and even more so during this pandemic. But don't worry, there's still going to be lots of laughs and lots of embarrassing stories.
Okay, so when people say Ruse, it would be a lie to say that the first thing many people associate our school with isn't either, the genius factory or like the farm school. And as students of Ruse, when we're constantly surrounded by like gifted students and we always have this pressure to perform well, we can often find ourselves burnt out or stressed and not sure how to balance our studies. And so today we're going to be talking about the three big S's: schools, studies, and stress, and maybe some ways we can approach it. I'm Yoonji.
And I'm Sambo.
And today we have two very special guests, so please introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Emily.
And I'm Zayel.
Thank you so much for joining us today. So let's just get right into it. Oh yeah, and disclaimer, when we say we're going to give advice about how to deal with stress, in no way, shape or form does that mean we're good at dealing with stress. Yeah, like I, for one, I'm still working on how to deal with stress. I feel like not a lot of people graduate high school like knowing how to deal with stress.
And also another disclaimer, in this episode, we might be like, oh, James Ruse is so stressful, but we just want to make it clear that James Ruse is an amazing school.
Yeah.
Like genuinely.
Yeah, like 100%.
It's like you grow so much from being at James Ruse and being surrounded by such incredible people, and also the teachers and just like the school executives. Yeah.
Okay, maybe we can start off by maybe establishing some things we get stressed about, or like some things that can trigger stress. I feel like definitely like academics is something that school, like studying, is definitely something that stresses us out. And personally for me, with deadlines, having deadlines and like exams, that's always something stressful. What about you guys? What other things do you think stress you guys out?
I guess it's the same thing. Like for me, it's just the work overload, especially when you get a bunch of assignments and it's all piling up. Like if they're all clumped together and the deadline's like really close together, that's when the stress kicks in for me in terms of academics. I mean, there's a bunch of other stuff that I do get stressed about. Like, you have your stuff outside, like your extracurriculars, or you might like have out of school stuff, family problems, whatever. Yeah,
definitely. What about you, Leo?
I think I'm pretty much the same. Definitely the deadlines do add that pressure, and definitely exam week and having multiple exams in 1 week.
100%. Samber?
I remember in the junior years, we were like, how many hours did you sleep last night? Like, did you pull an all-nighter? And it was almost like you're better than everyone else if you did pull an all-nighter. So I think that kind of built onto the stress.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, back in year 5, I thought like sleeping after midnight was like the biggest flex of my life. I'd be like, wait, what time did you sleep? And then they'll be like, I slept at like 9:30. I'm like, 9:30? Oh my gosh, I slept at like 12. And I thought I was the coolest kid out there. But now it's like the more you sleep, the more lucky you are. Especially in like these times when everything is uncertain, I feel like I get really stressed about like the unknown, not knowing what to expect. And that especially gets worse during lockdown period when, we don't know when this is ever going to ease. We don't know when we can go back to school and stuff, when things are going to go back to normal, I guess, which is something that can be stressful for a lot of people. And I think it's just really important to like realize that like you're not the only one dealing with stress. I'm sure a lot of people in Ruse, if not all undergo the same problems, all experience stress at one point in their lives. And I think it's really important, just acknowledge that and think I've got people around me. I'm surrounded by a community that also experiences the same struggles as me.
Like I think at James Ruse, just from my personal experience, it's been kind of polarizing because you can be surrounded by people who get stressed really easily, and then we talk about our stresses, and sometimes it just builds on and on top of each other and just amplifies everything. Whereas like there's another half that can be really good at controlling the stress. But also, I feel like some people hide their stresses as well, which isn't good either, because it's just keeping everything in. And that can make someone like me who gets stressed really easily feel like there's something wrong with me when there isn't. It's like perfectly valid. So yeah, guys, we're all stressed people and it's perfectly fine. And we're just all on this journey together, you know?
I think that's why it's important to have really good friends to help you, especially in stressful periods.
And even if you do feel like you don't have like a steady support system where you can rant and like open up your stresses about, I'm sure the prefects, all of them are down to talk. And I know Ameline and Lael are also very friendly, very nice people. And I'm sure they'd be down to be friends with you guys as well. Maybe we can talk about some ways we personally can like deal with our stresses and maybe some tips. Does anyone want to start that off?
Okay, usually when I feel stressed the most is probably during exam week, like I mentioned. But the thing is, I still haven't figured out a way how to deal with that stress. Back in like the earlier years of high school, I did not prepare at all for my exams. I usually did everything last minute.
Yeah.
But like as the years have been going on, I've slowly have been getting better at like time management as well, and getting the work done and getting my notes done beforehand, which I think is super important. But still, like I pull all-nighters still during exam week. So I feel like year 7 would be the year where like you're new to high school and people are, I mean, the kids are like, oh, we have to do good in our exams, and like a lot of the kids think that doing well in your exam is really important because it will like impact your later life, but in actuality it doesn't really stress year 7. So I think in year 7 I probably felt a lot of stress even though it didn't really matter.
Well, for me, I think in year 7 and 8 I wasn't actually very stressed out, but as the years go on and I realize things do start counting, that's when I get a bit more stressed. Whereas in year 7 and 8, I would tell myself, oh, it doesn't matter, it's all practice.
Yeah. No, I agree with that because I transferred to Ruse, right? So like in year 7, 8, I had no worries. I was like, you know what? Life is good. And then I came to year 9 and Ruse is definitely a different environment to other schools, like in a good way, as in like you're constantly pushed and you're constantly motivated by the kids around you to like do well, right? But then when you're like suddenly met with that, I feel like that got really stressful for me because then like studying became a lot more serious. You know, my marks mattered more, like my reports became something I was like worried about and stuff. I remember in a year meeting, Mr. NG was like, stress can sometimes be a good thing. Okay, at first I was like, what the heck does that even mean? What are you talking about? Stress is not a good thing. Like that stress stresses me out. But then I was thinking about it, and I think, for example, deadlines personally for me like stress me out a lot because it means I need to get this done by a certain time or I'm going to get penalized or something. Like I get stressed about deadlines because the connotations I put around deadlines are always negative. But if you think about it, it means that, you know what, like after this deadline, I know I have this assurance knowing that, you know what, by this time, everything's done. I've finished everything. And from then I'm like stress-free. But if you think about it that way, it kind of changes your perception on stress. I feel like you do need a little bit of stress to get you motivated. If I lived with no stress, guys, I would not be getting stuff done. Like, and I think it's just important to find that balance, I guess, which I haven't found yet. But
is it just me, or after an extreme intense exam block or after submitting many assignments and then you're carefree and doing whatever you want with your time, is it just me, or do you feel guilty? Is there like this voice at the back of your head that's telling you, Lael, get up, go do some work?
But you know what's funny? When I'm in bed and I'm not doing work, I'm stressed out about not doing work, but I'm too stressed to start doing work. I'm stressed about the fact that I'm not doing work, but then work makes me stressed. So then like, I don't know what to do. I feel like that's a problem I should probably try and fix.
I think it's just the fact of like getting up and doing the work which stresses you out. I have to get started on this, but I don't want to, and that's stressing me out. And then just builds on. How are you guys like coping with all the work during lockdown?
I picked up some good habits. So every morning I meditate for 10 minutes. But like literally it helps so much. Try it out. It is so good.
Maybe we should pick up meditation, guys.
It has changed my life. And then I've been doing this for like ever since like 2 years ago, but I just walk whenever like I want to. I just like walk a lot, and then that can range from like 15 minutes to maybe even an hour, just like by myself.
I love walking.
Yeah. And
what do you guys have any ways you guys?
Well, I absolutely hate walking and I hate sports, so I love staying inside. I like
no, that used to be honest, but trust me.
Well, the only time I actually do go out is when like my mom forces me to go on a walk. She keeps telling me, Ameline, you've been cooped up in the house for too long, blah blah blah. But I actually like staying inside. Even though I do miss seeing my friends and stuff at school, like that's the downside of lockdown. I feel like staying inside, there's like the upsides to it. Like you pick up a lot of hobbies as well. I guess you get to spend a lot of me time and you have more time for yourself rather than
Oh my God,
the whole
please
stress
explain
of
what like me time means, because I hear it all the time, but I'm like, what does that actually mean?
I mean, I guess it's just enjoying being by yourself. But then like during lockdown, it's so relaxed. And I feel like I don't feel as much stress in lockdown than I do in school. Especially like during this assignment period and stuff. I'm not feeling that much stress as I should be. But anyway.
That's a good thing. Stress-free life is good. How about you,
Yeah.
Leah?
Well, there is more free time online, but in terms of me time, I don't think I get as much as Ameline having 4 siblings. But to reduce the noise, because as you can imagine, it does get very noisy at home and it makes it very difficult to do math. I do wear some noise cancelling headphones. It works.
Really?
It blocks out all the noise.
Maybe I should get noise cancelling headphones. Yeah, but like I definitely agree with what Ameline said. Lockdown looks different on everyone. I am like the biggest homebody ever. Like, I'm more of a home person than like a going out person. So lockdown has honestly been so chill for me. Like with like the whole tips, I think it's important to just find what works for you. Like what Samber said, she does meditation. That's a stress releasing thing, and Layel's noise cancelling headphones is her way of releasing stress. And Ameline, you know, just staying up and doing whatever she wants, that's her way of releasing stress. And I think it's important to just like find what helps with you. And I think lockdown is a good opportunity to do that since you've got so much time in your hands.
On that note, like we have a lot of junior listeners, right? How many times have you heard this? Oh my gosh, you're only in year 7. It doesn't even matter.
Oh my gosh.
Right? And when you're in year 7, you're like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
You know, but when you're in like year 11 or year 12, you're like, oh my gosh, they were right. Like, what advice would you give to year 7s or like year 8s? Just anyone younger than us?
I think it's still important to study hard, try your best, but you definitely shouldn't get caught up on not performing as well as you would have liked, because it is all a learning experience for year 11 and 12. And year 7 definitely doesn't matter. Even when you get to year 8, you realize, oh wow, my bad Latin mark really doesn't matter.
I guess in the perspective of like a year 7 or 8, when you get told that it doesn't matter, for you, it does matter because you're a year 7 and doing your exam, this is going to impact your your results or your grade. It just flies through your head and like whatever. I mean, no, not whatever. It matters.
Yeah. That's the message
in terms of like advice, I guess just relax, I suppose. Just remember, like I know I sound really cliche right now, but just remember at the end of the day, it's not going to matter. I seem like a hypocrite.
The reason why we say it doesn't matter is because we've experienced it. We've already experienced year 7. But for kids who are in year 7, it's their first time doing year 7. So like obviously it matters so much to them. Like when I was in year 7, my geography assignment was like the most important thing in my life. Like I needed to do well in my geography assignment, or it was just that or nothing. But then I think something that's really important to remember is you're going to walk out of high school with like more than just an ATAR. I sound like a grandma, but like I think it's just important to like have a good time.
And I feel like just remember the most cliche sayings are probably the ones that ring the most true.
Yeah, because they're cliche for a reason.
What I would say to year 7s is like what all of you guys say, your marks don't matter, but what you should be doing with your time is like recognizing how you deal with stress. Like Lael said, who are your good friends and who you can rely on during those tough times. Also, another thing, try to find and keep in contact with mentors. I think that is so important, just because a lot of the times you can feel like really alone. For me, finding a mentor is probably the most important thing. But you know how 2 years ago, the High Achievers Assembly, it got cancelled. So then Miss Powell sent us the High Achievers speeches. It was just their script of what they would tell to like younger people, right? Just reading those, it just made me feel so much like less alone, and just knowing that everyone goes through this. Like, it doesn't matter if you're a genius or like, it doesn't matter because you all go through that, and it's just made me feel so much better.
But like I feel like having a mentor as well, it doesn't necessarily need to be someone older. Anyone you can rely on, anyone you can talk to is really important, especially during high school.
Who would that be for you?
For me,
Yeah.
like a lot of people. Well, number ones, there's like my friends. And then there's like, like the people I meet through grade sport, the people I meet through like clubs, the people I meet in class, just anyone. As long as you have someone that you feel like you can go to when you need help or you can reach out to. If you just have just one person, guys, quality over quantity. Like just one person, that's more than enough. Like seriously. Leia, yeah. Sorry.
What about
For
you?
me, if I had to choose a mentor, it'd actually probably be Lael. Like, I'm not even saying that because even though she's here, I'm actually being serious. Like, out of everyone, if I had anyone to like go to for my problems, I'd probably say Lael.
Guys, I feel like I'm watching like a proposal. Feel like I'm.
Thank you, Emily.
Yeah, like she's just so hardworking and dedicated and everything. And whenever I have any problems, whether it be like academic or any problems at home, I would always go to her, to be honest. Especially during lockdown as well, because we spent a lot of time online and through messages and video calls. Through that, we tend to even speak a little bit more than we usually do at school.
Well, thank you as well for all your support during lockdown and in general.
No problem.
You're a great mentor to me as well. Who's your mentor, Sambo?
Like literally, this is gonna sound cliche, but definitely my mom. She just gets me through a lot, and I'm really lucky to have like such amazing emotional support because I am bad at being alone by myself. I am not good at dealing with stress either, so I just go to her with all my troubles. And I think it's important to just tell junior years. I know you hear this a lot from like the principal or your year advisors, but you can literally go and talk to them about what you're feeling. Just like the number of teachers I have cried in front of, they get me through a lot as well. So
on the topic of like crying, I think it's so important to like release your emotions because after I cry, I feel so good. If that's what helps you get through it, then I feel like you're like, just cry as much as you want. Are you guys heavy criers, or are you guys like just don't cry?
I suppose I have my moments. I don't really think about it that often. Like when I feel like crying, I cry. I'm like, okay, I'm done.
And then after you cry, you realize, oh, maybe it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
wait, how many times have you guys cried at school?
Oh, for me, I remember there was this one time. It was just the stupidest thing. Okay. In year 7, we had some out of school thing where we had to go in groups, and one of my friends wasn't in my group, and I was just so upset over it. It wasn't even that. I wasn't even bothered over that. I think it was just the overload of, oh my God, this is just too much for me. And I think I started bawling in front of, I think it was Miss Annette's. And then she was like, all right, do you want to go to the bathroom and just like, clean yourself up? To the bathroom, I was just, oh my God, did that seriously just happen? It was just so embarrassing. But it wasn't even over like what had happened. It was just all of it just coming to me.
Literally when I was in year 9, like before I was gonna transfer to Ruse, I had this rule, I'm never gonna cry at school. I've had some traumatic experiences in year 6 and primary school when I cried at school and just never ended up good. So I was like, okay, you know what? Ruse, new school, new life, you're not gonna cry at school. And I was doing so good until my year 9 yearly maths exam. I got my paper back, and so I was like facing the back looking at the whiteboard, and then like this really nice friend came to me and was like, oh my gosh, Yunji, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine, I just have allergies, when it was so clear that I was crying. It's fine, I've got allergies. And then I walked outside and I started bawling my eyes out in the corridors. Luckily, I also, don't worry, Annalene, I cried in front of Miss Sammy. So she took me down to the farm and we picked some lemons from the lemon tree, and I had a nice little therapy session with Miss Sammy. So that was my first time crying at Ruse. You know what? I wish it was my first and last time, but don't worry, I've cried more than that afterwards. So
I feel like it's always maths that gets people really worked up. I think it was last year. I think nearly every girl in my class went to the bathroom and cried. Like, I was feeling really upset about my marks. It was like, okay, time to go to the bathroom to cry. And I go in there and there's 20 other girls.
It's a bonding experience.
Well, if we're talking incidences where we've cried at Ruse, I'll share a story about when I was in year 6. I didn't actually cry, but I was about to cry. I was very upset. So we had this thing at school where there was a buddy bed, and people from other grades would come if they didn't have any friends to play with and sit on the buddy bed. And then I would go and play with them at lunchtime, right?
Oh, yeah.
This boy in year 3, and I had been playing with him for about 3 or 4 days. And we were playing Pokemon cards, right? He taught me how to play and we were playing. I had never played Pokemon cards before, and I was really bad, like horrible.
Mhm.
And on the fourth day, he comes up to me and I was like, "Oh, you ready for another game?" And he's like, "I'm sorry, Leah. I think I'm just gonna not play with you. You're not very good."
I think you had to sit on the buddy bench. Do you guys have any tips and tricks for like any advice for the younger grades in terms of like how you can, in terms of like organization and stuff and just getting through school?
I feel like I'm still struggling with that. I think I'm the one that
Yeah,
needs
same,
advice,
uni.
but-
There is one thing to have the hard way, and that is to not let your work pile up.
Mhm.
So I think we've all had experience where we get a bunch of comments, but we realize, oh, it's not due right now.
Set yourself like small goals. With like to-do lists, I saw on YouTube like there are these 5 tips that can help change your life. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want to change my life. So I clicked it. And the first thing was make a to-do list every day, like the first thing you do when you wake up. So I was like, all right, bet. So I would like make these to-do lists with like 100 things to do. And like it would be like really big tasks, like finish like 3 chapters of Cambridge Maths and like, I don't know, like write 2 whole draft essays. Obviously, I wasn't going to finish them, but then I started writing like really small tasks, like finish 5 questions of maths, finish my introduction for my English essay. Those are so much easier to tackle. And once I tick the box off, I feel so satisfied. I'm like, damn, you and Jill, damn, you're really on the grind these days, aren't you? Like finishing 5 questions and writing an introduction essay. I feel like that really helped.
This isn't so much organization, but still like anxiety. You know how you said that maths questions stress you out? English stresses me so much out. Like what I realized is that you're probably like, this is so hard. I keep making silly mistakes all the time. For English, it's like, oh my gosh, I can never get this sentence perfect. Or like, it doesn't matter if I spend 2 hours or 10 hours on this, I never get anything done. So what you have to do is just reflect. Why do you feel so much resistance against the subject? And for me, it was just like perfectionism. Like maybe like for maths, you're like, oh my gosh, I have to do this entire page of maths questions. But when you like look at it from afar, because a lot of the times you're exaggerating. 1 page of maths isn't that much, right? That's why you hate doing it, or you're so scared to do it, to even start, right? But once you like say like, okay, this is why I'm feeling this way, these are the negative judgments, just let it go, guys. And then it's so much better.
With the English thing, so you know how for English essays, you do like drafts? I had this thing where my draft 1 had to be perfect. It had to be the most perfect thing in the whole wide world. And if I didn't like one bit about it, I would spend hours trying to fix it. But then I realized, what's the point of doing 5 drafts if I'm going to try and make my draft 1 perfect? What I do now is like my draft 1, I literally word vomit whatever I want. I don't care if it sounds like a kindergartner's work. I don't care if it does not abide the English rules. I just write what I want to write. And then after I have something, at least it gives me something to work on. And then from there, I perfect it bit by bit. I go draft 2. Okay, this sentence literally does not make sense. I'm going to have to fix it up. If you just keep like working bit by bit like that, I feel like it's easier.
I think it's when you're especially starting doing past papers for an exam and then knowing that you put a lot of effort into it and then doing the exam and then getting your results back and it's just so heartbreaking. I don't know, for me, it's just awful. And I guess that's what makes me hate maths, I guess. It's not the fact that I hate doing it, it's just me putting all that effort into it and then just not getting the results that I feel like I deserve.
I feel like I just like spiritually connected with you for a second. You've literally put my experience in maths in words. Like that is literally how I feel.
And sometimes it's as well the subject that you don't put a lot of effort into and you get back results and you do especially well in it. And you're like, how does that logic work though?
Yeah, like
I think if you do get a bad mark, it shouldn't deter you from studying for that subject. You shouldn't get too hung up over it or too upset by it. But you should try and let it motivate you to study a bit more. I'm going to reflect all the way back when I did my year 8 maths half yearly. It was a very big failure. But instead of getting really upset by it, which at first I was very upset considering I did study very hard for it, it just pushed me to study a lot more. And then I did see that studying pay off later in my yearly. And I do think that that bad mark really helped me improve in year 8 and work harder. And it taught me a lesson early on. So don't let your bad mark deter you from studying for that subject.
For that year 8 half yearly, I went overseas that time. So I was told that
Like
I didn't
before
have to during that period. So I didn't have to do my half yearly. So I was like, I came back to school. It's like, damn, I don't have to do anything. Cool. I go to ag because it was like my first class. And then Miss Zoo walks in And she's like, Emily, you're doing the math exam right now. Well, she didn't say it
Right
like that,
now?
but she's like, yeah, right
Oh.
now. And I
Oh my
hadn't
God.
studied anything. And she like locks me in a room, just like, do the exam right now, and I haven't studied for anything.
Dude, I've had
I-
nightmares about that. That is nightmare type scenarios.
Anyway, it was so traumatic. I was sitting there like, I don't know anything, bro.
But I feel like that's the best part about junior school. In junior school, failing is like part of the process. You're allowed to fail. Like what Lael said, getting disappointed pushed Lael to work harder, and it obviously paid off. And I feel like that's what's so good about like junior school, especially.
Yeah.
You just learn from the failure, I guess.
How do you guys deal with the overload being prefects and execs as well for social justice clubs? Can you give us any advice now that we're execs as well?
Personally, for me though, the role of an exec and the role of a prefect, I don't think of it as a burden. It's something I genuinely really wanted to do, and it's something I was really passionate about. When I think of it, I don't get stressed out at all, even if there's so many things I have to do and so many events I have to organize. It's really fun for me. That's my way of releasing stress. Oh my gosh, just touching on that, I feel like it's so important to get involved in the school. In year 7, I regret not doing anything because I was scared of not getting in. I wasn't going to make it into the team, like a sports team, or like I'm not going to make it into stuff. So I was so scared of that I didn't even try out in the first place. Once you get involved in the school and you like find the community or like something you really enjoy doing, like that literally raises the quality of school life by so much. Even if I've got exams, even if I got stuff like that on, the fact that I've got clubs to look forward to, the fact that I've got a role, a leadership role that I get to take part in, that is so stress relieving to me. I heard so many people say, guys, get involved in the school. Like it's really good to get involved in the school. Like that went one ear and went out the other, because like I don't really get it. But like once you do start getting involved in school, I understand why people say that. You meet new people with same interests.
It gives you something to look forward to
Yeah.
as well.
Like if for me in year 7 and 8, I wasn't really involved in many clubs, not
Yeah.
because I was scared like UNG. I think I just wasn't bothered.
Mm-hmm.
But then I mentioned this in my UNICEF exec speech, but I regretted it so much because it really opens your mind up to so many things. And it's like what Lael said, like it's something to look forward to.
Would you want to talk about like stories from school?
Okay, this one is so embarrassing. It was a free period, so I get to go home early. I was on the 5:50. I had my earphones in. I thought I looked so cool. I was listening to vibey music. I was looking out the window like a mysterious person. I arrived at Epping Station, right? And so the doors opened and I need to leave, right? I like stepped out, but it was the bus and then there was a gap and then it was the pavement. I was stepping out, but my foot got stuck in the gap. I literally, like my hands went in the air and I like belly flopped onto the floor. Like I was just sprawled on the floor for a good 3 seconds. And I was like, no, I can't get up from this. Like, this is too embarrassing. Like, I just can't go to school anymore. And people were like looking at me and like, what is she doing? And my earphones were like on the other floor and I had a watch and my watch was like thrown onto the other floor. My bag at that time was really heavy. So I tried lifting myself up, but it was swaying me down. I was literally like a turtle. Like I couldn't get up. I was like struggling to get up. I got up, had to casually grab my watch and casually grab my earphones and like just dust myself on and like pretend that like will all happen for a reason. And it was probably like the most embarrassing moment of my life.
I'm just curious, how did your watch manage to fly off?
That's how bad the fall was. My watch was literally on the other side. I don't even know how that happened, but it happened. And after that, whenever I'm walking off the bus, I always take 5 seconds to just like prepare myself. I'm like, Yunji, put your right foot out, your left foot out, and just walk. Because I refuse to go through the same experience as that again. That was so embarrassing. Sambru, do you have any? I'm sure you have at least one embarrassing moment.
Actually, I do. So basically, it was at peer support care. And you know Mr. Singh, he's such a cool guy. I was a peer support manager. And then I had like 15 kids in one group, right? And we were abseiling. And then they were like, oh, for some reason, I was just too tired. I was just sitting in line with Mr. Singh, right? And then like we started like talking about deep stuff. I asked him about his marriage and then he was like, you know, it's really important to just really work with your spouse to, you know, just really understand each other, get through the tough times. Like all these deep stuff. And then he was like, I know, I was just about like, wow, so you seem so happy in life. I wish I could be as emotionally strong as you. And he was like, yeah. He was just giving me like really good like counseling therapist talk, right? I forgot what he said. It was like, you know, life is very short. You never know when it's going to be over. So just really enjoy it, you know, just really work hard to be happy. And then I just started crying.
While the people were abseiling.
While 15 year 7 kids who I meant to be a role model in front of, I started bawling. I'm an ugly crier. And I was just crying. I was just so touched. And then he was just silent and staring at me. He was like, oh my God. I
He
need to
was
go cry.
taking it back.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
kid.
And I was like, sir, no. I'm really happy. I'm really touched. That's why I'm crying. I'm not sad, okay? I'm just crying. And not even my face gets ugly, my voice gets ugly as well. Yeah, in front of 15 kids. And in front of the camp, like supervisors as well. You know, an experience. Any similar stories, guys?
I cry a lot when reading and watching movies. Like it gets really it gets really embarrassing. Sometimes I try to hide that I'm crying. Like we'll be watching a Disney movie as a family, and then I'll just randomly start bawling my eyes out.
No, that reminds me. Once I went to the cinemas to watch. Do you guys know The Good Dinosaur? I went with my little sister, and so like the rest of the audience, they were like 4-5-year-old kids, right? I was like in primary school or something, and I went in, and there's this scene like, and oh my gosh, that hit my
In a kids movie?
yeah, like
Yeah.
it was so emotional for me. I started bawling my eyes out. None of the other kids were crying. I was the only grown kid there, bawling my eyes out about a dinosaur movie, and you could see people like being like, what is this? What's wrong with her? Like, enjoying my movie, and there's this full ass grown kid crying, and yeah, that was really embarrassing.
Gunji, I'm not even joking. I cried in that scene.
Oh my gosh, I found a fellow cry. It was so sad, right? Literally. I was so amazed that these kids weren't crying. Like,
Oh, I remember. So when I was reading Harry Potter, I won't say which character, but one of the characters died. I was in primary school and I was reading in my room, and then one of the characters died, and then I was a mess. I went out to my mum. I couldn't even form a sentence. She's like, what's wrong? And I couldn't even tell her why I was crying.
Have you guys watched any like interesting movies or TV shows during lockdown?
Well, I've watched this amazing TV show during lockdown. I've been watching it with my little sister. It's Alvin and the Chipmunks, but made into a TV show. Every day after school, she comes up to me, and I'll be doing my homework, and she comes up to me and she's like, Lael, when are you going to have a break? And I'm like, I have a lot of work today. And she's like, okay, when you're free, just let me know. Time for Alvin and the Chipmunks. So really recommend it.
Yeah, I started watching the K-drama. Is it Penthouse or The Penthouse? It's really good. I'm bad at explaining TV shows, so I won't explain it. But yeah, really good. Go check it out.
Aline, do you have any recs? I feel like you would know a lot.
Lael and I have been reading this series called Shadow and Bone.
Oh yeah,
I started watching a few episodes of it. It's pretty good.
Shadow and Bone.
Book series is amazing. I'm up to the 3rd book right now. Yeah, Emmeline finished it.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of like reading done because we're in
That's
lockdown
good.
right now.
Is there anything
Have you
else?
guys been getting like a lot of reading done as well? Like, have you read any recent books?
Whenever I tell people what kind of books I like, they always tell me I'm a grandma or that I'm really boring. But
We won't.
like, I love like autobiographies, non-fiction, like realistic historical fiction. I'm not gonna lie, very controversial, not a big fan of fantasy. I feel like this is going to get me like blacklisted or something, but like I'm not a big fan of fantasies. I like listening to people's stories.
You saying you don't like fantasy was like a knife through my heart.
Leo, you want to hear something else that might put a knife in your heart?
Oh no, I don't know if I can handle it.
I've never finished the Harry Potter series.
Me too.
What?
Please.
How do you not finish the Harry Potter series? Like, it's Harry Potter.
Well, lucky I didn't say he died.
Okay, I've read The Philosopher's Stone like 5 times because every single time I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm going to try and read the Harry Potter series. So then I read through like the Philosopher's Stone and I'm going to start the 2nd book and I'm like, nah, this is so boring. I can't do this. And then the next year I try again. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get into Harry Potter. I read Philosopher's Stone and then I'm like, no, I'm out. The next year I start again because like I know back in year 7, Harry Potter was like the thing. If you don't tell me what house you're in and if you don't like tell me.
And I think there was a site called like Pottermore or something,
Yeah,
and I
like-
just did not understand it.
It was the whole like primary school, you know, Divergent, Hunger
Yeah.
Games, The Maze Runner.
Yeah.
If you didn't read
I've
it,
read
you
none of
were a
those.
loser.
I read none of those.
Yeah.
Really? Well, for us, it was a huge thing. Like, if you didn't read any of those books, like, you were outcasted.
We tried,
Yeah,
okay?
we
We
tried.
tried.
Points for effort. I feel like for me, like, you know how the whole primary school thing, like, I felt like I just jumped on the bandwagon. I felt obligated to read them because everyone else was. But still, still, I really enjoy them, and I love going online and doing this dumb quizzes like, which faction are you in? Or like, which district are you in? Which demigod or whatever?
Oh my gosh,
Which
no,
cabin do you
I
belong
do
in?
those as well.
BuzzFeed quizzes are the best.
I remember I was so obsessed with getting Gryffindor. I made like 100 different Pottermore accounts
Oh,
so I could get Gryffindor.
Oh my gosh, I did it once, like without having any background knowledge on like Harry Potter, and like, cause like everyone was like, which house are you in? Like everyone was doing that, so I was like, oh my gosh, like I want to do this as well. And then I got like Hufflepuff, and then I went up to my friends and I was like, guys, guess what? I did the quiz. Do you want to know what I got? And I was like, I got Hufflepuff. I don't know if Hufflepuff is like a bad house, so I didn't really know what's going on, but they were like, Hufflepuff? Like you're in Hufflepuff? Like I'm in like Gryffindor. And then I was like, oh, what? So then I got really self-conscious. So I was trying manipulating the answers so that I could try to get Gryffindor, but I never got Gryffindor. So
I did the Pottermore quiz like back in year 4 or 5 or something, and I got Slytherin, and I was distraught. When it flashed into my screen, I was like on the verge of tears. Like I couldn't believe it was happening to me. And then I did the Patronus quiz. I got a turtle, and I was like, how is it even possible? I actually got a turtle. I was anyway, it still impacted me.
yeah.
And I haven't done like one of those quizzes since then because I'm still worried about getting Slytherin.
I mean, you know how you guys haven't read Harry Potter and how that marks the end of our friendship? I'm not sure if you guys saw in the newsletter recently how they cut down those trees on the hill from the oval that goes down to the gym. They cut down all those trees to build the new sport facility.
Oh,
And
really?
then I told Emmeline, I'm afraid that's the end of our friendship. Those trees were the roots of our friendship.
Literally.
We've been talking for like so long. I think that wraps up our 3rd episode of Ruse on Record. And I know we went really off topic from talking about like school studies and stress to like Pottermore and like our embarrassing moments, but I feel like that shows that it's really important and really fun to stay connected with your friends even during lockdown. And you know, you guys can all have your own little Zoom meetings with your friends if you want. And
Yeah, thanks for joining us, guys. Just remember, we're all human. We're all on this journey to like battling stress and, you know, just learning how to deal with it. So yeah, feel free to always reach out and definitely give us suggestions as to what you would like to hear.